Stringers. How many different stringers are there? Well, I'm going to talk about 3 different stringers. First I'm going to talk about the hoop stringer. Hoop stringer, standard, a lot of people use them. Good stringer to use, solid steel stringer. Up in Wisconsin we'll hang them on our float. You can clip them to your belt and carry them around with you. Different people use them in a lot of different ways, but some people will take the fish, string it through the eyes. This one, if I wish it was straight, because it would be easier to run through the eyes, so I usually run them through the gill and out through the mouth, and it'll hold probably about, I don't know, 15 crappie and bluegill, but only a few carp. So this is what I started using, and I liked it. Problem is I always had it on my float, because carrying around carp on my waist, it just gets intrusive, so I kept it on my float. But then I had my float line running back to my float, and I kept getting tied up. So from there I've moved on to a speed stringer. This is the Rob Allen speed stringer. Basically on the one end it's got the speed needle that goes in through the gill and out through the mouth. And once you put the fish on it, it just starts working its way back down the float line. Once it gets to the other end of the float line, it's got what looks like a spear tip on it. It's tied. The fish floats right across all of this. You want to keep knots that are nice and small. You don't want to have big tied in knots and big cord here. You want to keep it kind of small, and the fish floats right across. It gets up onto the cable portion, and then they can't come back down the line because they've got the flopper there. Even if they don't get all the way through the flopper, they're still back by your float and they're out of your way. But I don't have to keep swimming back to my float, getting tied up in my float line. Everything is right there on the end. I put the speed needle through, push it back, and as I start to swim, or if there's a current, they're immediately moving back. Even if the fish is fighting, if it starts swimming, the gill seems to catch the line, and it can try to swim forward, but it ends up pulling itself back. I can't really explain it, but it works, and I love it. Because a lot of people, even me, when I first got it, I thought, you got to put it in through the mouth first and then out the gill so that it can swim back down the line. But that's not the case at all. You want to put it in through the gill and out through the mouth, and it'll find its way. They always make it back to the end of the line. So, very nice system. This is the Rob Allen speed stringer. Now the other thing, I didn't like having my panfish mixed in with my carp. So recently I bought the Omer stringer. Now there's several different versions of this out there. There's several different sizes of the spike and a lot of different ways to use it. I like this method. This method, when you put it on, it'd go behind obviously, but it goes on your belt, and you would have one on one side and one on the other side. So the fish are staying behind you on the stringer. But what it is, it's the standard spike stringer. This has the small carabiner on this side, and it comes with the belt holster, I guess you'd call it. The other side has another holster and the spike. It's a standard spike. You know, you see a lot of them, maybe 1.5, 2 times as long as this spike, where you would string it through the eyes, and the fish would then be resting behind you on the cord. So, like, some of them are bigger, and then they'll just tee, so then the fish will rest against the spike, and they'll be hanging from you, and you would clip this to whatever you have. But Omer has provided 2 of these holsters. You can use one so that you have the carabiner on the holster, and then you can slide the spike in, so that it makes a loop and your fish stay down here. The other option, like I showed before, is you'd have this on one hip, you have this on the other hip, and then you could just stow the spike, if I can work my hands, and you just stow the spike into the holster. Nice, slick. It goes across your back. You don't have all the fish on one side. They stay more center. Or you could put just one of them, keep it in the center, put it off to the side, wherever you're comfortable with it. If you shoot right-handed, you can keep your fish on your left side, however you want to do it. Obviously, it's your stringer. But those are 3 methods of stringing fish, and all 3 methods work just fine. Pick the one that's right for you.